You know that specific kind of tired? The one that feels unfair. You wake up with no big plans. You tell yourself you'll take it easy. You barely move. You don't lift anything heavy. You don't even do anything that counts as work. And then, somehow, by mid-afternoon, your body feels heavy. Your brain feels foggy, and motivation drops to zero. It's confusing because we're trained to think fatigue equals effort. Run hard, get tired. Work long, get tired. But doing nothing can create a different kind of load, a hidden load. Here's the twist. Your nervous system doesn't measure effort the way you think it does. It measures regulation. A day with no structure often becomes a day of constant micro-stimulation. Notifications, quick videos, random tabs, half-started tasks, background worry, and low-grade decision-making. Even if your body is still, your brain is not. And the brain is expensive. It burns energy, manages attention, predicts threats, tracks time, and maintains self-control, whether you're at the gym or lying on a bed. When your day becomes a stream of tiny inputs, your brain pays a processing tax all day long. So the tiredness you feel after doing nothing isn't your body complaining about muscles. It's your brain saying, I've been on the whole time. And once you see that, you can stop blaming yourself for being lazy and start noticing what actually drained you. Let's take a real moment. You're on the couch, phone in hand. You're not doing anything important, but your mind is busy, replaying a message you sent, thinking about what you should be doing, imagining tomorrow, comparing yourself to someone online, worrying about one small thing, then jumping to another. That's not random. That's a brain network. When external tasks are low, the brain often shifts into what researchers call the default mode network, a set of regions that become active when you're not focused on a specific goal. This network supports internal narrative, autobiographical memory, simulation of the future, social comparison, and meaning-making. In simple terms, when life gets quiet, your brain starts running stories. Sometimes those stories are useful, sometimes they're not. But either way, they consume resources. This is why resting without direction can feel mentally heavy. Your body is still, but your brain is doing internal work, assembling the past, predicting the future, and evaluating your social world. It's like leaving a laptop on sleep mode, but with 30 background processes still running. And here's the key link back to your life. If your nothing day is full of rumination, self-evaluation, or open loops, your brain never truly downshifts. You don't recover. You just switch from visible work to invisible work. So that drained feeling isn't mysterious. Your brain wasn't resting, it was narrating. Imagine a day where nothing is scheduled. Sounds relaxing, right? But notice what happens. You keep asking yourself small questions. What should I eat? Should I reply now or later? Do I shower now? Should I start something or keep scrolling? I should do something productive, but what? Each question is tiny, but the brain doesn't process them as free. Self-regulation relies heavily on prefrontal control systems, networks that manage attention, inhibition, planning, and switching between goals. Every time you decide, resist, or redirect yourself, you spend cognitive control. The problem with doing nothing is that it often becomes a day of constant switching. Not deep work, not real rest, but endless choice points with no anchor. That's mentally exhausting in a very specific way. Not because you did one hard thing, but because you did 1,000 small ones. Think of it like a phone battery. A single heavy app can drain it, but so can dozens of small apps constantly pinging location, refreshing, and sending signals. That's your brain on an unstructured day, always checking, always considering, always maybe. And when cognitive control is taxed, you feel it as fatigue, irritability, and low motivation, because your brain is protecting itself by reducing effort output. So if you've ever felt exhausted after nothing, it might not be nothing. It might be constant micromanagement of your own attention.
Here's a common pattern. You feel a little bored or slightly stressed, so you reach for your phone. One short video becomes 10. 10 becomes 30. It feels easy, almost soothing. And then, when you stop, your brain feels empty, dull, and tired. That shift is not just lack of discipline, it's neurochemistry. Many modern apps deliver rapid, unpredictable rewards. A funny clip, a surprising post, a new message, a like, a headline. This unpredictability strongly engages reward learning systems, particularly dopamine pathways involved in motivation and prediction error, the difference between what you expected and what you got. Dopamine isn't simply pleasure. It's a signal that says, pay attention, pursue, keep going. So while you're scrolling, your brain is in a mild chase state, scanning for the next hit of novelty. That's not recovery. That's stimulation. Then when the stimulus stops, the contrast feels brutal. Regular life becomes less engaging. Your baseline motivation dips, and subjectively, that can feel like fatigue. Heavy mind, low drive, I can't start anything. It's like eating only candy for an hour. Your blood sugar swings, and afterward, you feel worse, not better. Same idea, just with attention and reward signals. So when you do nothing by feeding your brain constant novelty, you're not letting it recharge. You're forcing it into a loop of anticipation and paying the price afterward as dullness and tiredness. Let's say you spent your nothing day reading random posts, watching half a documentary, thinking about unfinished tasks, and arguing in your head about what you should do. By evening, you feel tired, but it doesn't feel like physical exhaustion. It feels like, I can't think, I can't start, I can't care. That's mental fatigue, and it has a real biology. Cognitive neuroscience describes mental fatigue as a state where sustained or fragmented cognitive effort changes motivation and perceived effort. As the brain accumulates fatigue, tasks feel more costly, and you become less willing to invest control. Researchers have linked this to changes in networks involved in attention, effort evaluation, and control. Your brain starts to down-regulate performance to prevent deeper depletion. In simpler terms, fatigue is partly a protective signal. Your brain is telling you, stop spending resources. And here's the kicker. Mental fatigue can be triggered by fragmentation, not just intensity. If your attention keeps switching, if you keep holding open loops, if you keep processing emotional content online, you can hit fatigue without ever doing one hard task. That's why your body can feel heavy after a day that looks lazy from the outside. From the inside, your brain ran a marathon of context switching, evaluation, and emotional micro-reactions. When you understand this, the solution changes. You don't push harder. You reduce fragmentation. You close loops. You shift toward real recovery signals. There's another sneaky factor. You can be stressed even when you're lying down. Think about a day where you're not working, but you're carrying background tension, money thoughts, relationship uncertainty, school pressure, guilt for wasting time, fear of falling behind. You're resting, but your nervous system is on alert. Biology calls this allostatic load, the wear and tear of chronic stress regulation. When stress systems activate repeatedly, even mildly, your body spends resources. Cortisol rhythms shift, sympathetic arousal rises, heart rate variability can drop, and recovery becomes harder. And stress doesn't require drama. It can be quiet. A single, unresolved uncertainty can keep the brain's threat detection and prediction systems running, especially when you have lots of idle time to think. This is why some people feel most tired on weekends or days off. Work days force structure. Days off remove structure. So the mind fills the space with worry, comparisons, and should thoughts. The body reads that as a prolonged, low-level threat state, and low-level threat is exhausting. In plain language, your body can't recover if it doesn't feel safe, even if you're horizontal. So if doing nothing leaves you tired, ask, was my nervous system actually resting? Or was it quietly bracing the whole day? Now let's talk about the most underrated culprit, your timing. On days with no obligations, people often drift, wake later, stay in bed longer, nap randomly, snack unpredictably, and get lots of light from screens at night. It feels harmless, but your energy system is timing-based. Two major biological forces regulate sleepiness and alertness. Homeostatic sleep pressure, the buildup of sleep need across the day, influenced by compounds like adenosine, and circadian rhythm, your internal clock, strongly shaped by light exposure, activity, and consistent timing. When you wake late and stay low activity, sleep pressure builds differently. When you get bright light late at night from screens, circadian timing can shift. When you nap at random times, you can blunt sleep pressure, making nights worse, leading to lighter sleep and causing next-day fatigue. This creates a trap. You feel tired, so you do less. Doing less worsens timing. Worsened timing makes you more tired. And the fatigue you feel isn't always sleepiness. It can feel like fog, low mood, low drive, because circadian misalignment affects cognition and emotion too. So doing nothing can accidentally sabotage the biological architecture that creates energy. Not because rest is bad, but because drifting timing sends your body mixed signals about when to be awake and when to recover. Here's the practical distinction that changes everything. There's passive downtime and there's recovery, and your brain knows the difference. Passive downtime often looks like scrolling, half-watching, multitasking, lying in bed with open loops, grazing information, comparing, worrying. It feels low effort, but it keeps your nervous system processing. Recovery looks different. It contains signals your brain interprets as safe and complete. Single tasking, predictable rhythm, low novelty, gentle movement, sunlight, a closed environment, and an ending. Real-life example. Compare these two rest choices. 1 hour of chaotic scrolling with constant novelty and emotional spikes. 1 hour walk outside with no headphones, or a shower with slow breathing, or cleaning one small area until it's finished, or reading a physical book for 30 minutes, or doing one short task to completion, then stopping. The second set isn't about productivity. It's about giving your brain a clear state. No threats, no chasing, no switching. That allows control networks to relax and stress systems to downshift. And this is the key link back to you. If you feel tired after doing nothing, don't assume you're broken. Assume your nothing was filled with stimulation, switching, or stress, and your brain is asking for a different category of rest. Because sometimes the most exhausting thing you can do is spend all day never fully working and never fully resting.